get it?
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power! Fight the power! One, two, three, yeah! Try to keep it coming. Things ain't always smooth. Oh, but I'll be alright as long as I can find the groove. Yes, I will. Somehow I know that I can make it. You seem to like my style. Now, don't you worry, I'm gonna be around a while. Yes, I will. I'm just happy to see you talk to me back in style again.
Live from historic Lamert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavissmileyshow.com. That's thetavissmileyshow.com or wherever you get your podcast and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, a conversation with two music legends, not one, but two, Terrence Blanchard and Aaron Neville. The artist community was hit pretty hard 20 years ago when the waters from Hurricane Katrina flooded New Orleans. The city's musical landscape is rich, as you know, with various styles: jazz, brass bands, blues, R&B, gospel, zydeco, Cajun, bounce rap, and so much more. We will talk about NOLA music culture then and now with two sons of the city, Aaron Neville and Terrence Blanchard, in hour two. In our third hour, two more conversations. Up first, Davon Love, Director of Public Policy for the Baltimore-based think tank Leaders of a Beautiful Struggle, on the escalating war of words between President Trump and Maryland Governor Wes Moore, and how federalizing police impacts youth in Baltimore and beyond. And I just saw a provocative piece that, where's that piece? I just saw a provocative piece that Davon Love wrote, which I will find and share with you a little bit later in this conversation. But it's a great piece that he wrote. We'll tap into that as well. Anyway, Davon Love out of Baltimore City on the top side of hour three. On the B side of hour three, conversation with Bitter Cali, writer, land worker, and founder of the Star Apple Farm and Nursery, on the new book Mounted, on horses, blackness, and liberation, joining the growing black creative movement, currently refashioning horses and cowboy imagery. Everybody's talking about cowboys these days, and ain't just Beyonce. The new book, Mounted, is a thoughtful and probing exploration of the shared history of blackness and horses, which reveals what its image can teach us about nationhood, race, and culture. Look forward to that on the B side of hour three. Going to be a full show today, but in this first hour, we welcome back to this program the president of the Good Government Group, Common Cause, Virginia Kase Solomón. Virginia, good to have you back. How are you today?
Thanks. Good to see you, Travis, or good to speak to you again. Hope all is well.
It's good to have you on. Let me start with a couple of broad questions to frame our dialogue in this hour, and we'll jump from there. Let me just ask. I was thinking about this as I was walking into the studio. Does Common Cause grade? I don't know. When I say grade, I don't know how you rank or rate. But does Common Cause grade politicians? And I'm asking that at the outset here because I'm just trying to get a sense of what kind of grade Donald Trump is getting from this nationally known, prominent, preeminent good government group. Everybody knows Common Cause. Do you grade public officials?
So we do a democracy scorecard
Okay.
every year, and that really focuses on members of Congress, both in the House and the Senate. So we do, but to be really clear, this Trump administration has, if we were scoring it, it would get a double F.
You say if we were scoring it, does that mean you're not scoring it?
Well, we are pushing back on individual pieces of legislation. So we don't do a scorecard for the White House, so to speak. We
Okay.
really do focus on Congress, but we've never had to, I would say, look as closely at a president who has done this much damage. And so that's why I say if we had a scorecard for this White House, it would get a double F because it's just not meeting any of our pro-democracy standards.
So unpack that double F for me right quick.
I mean, what we're seeing in our position in this organization is that we are now in the position of having to fight an authoritarian regime. And what I mean by that is, as a democracy, good government governance group, there are international standards that kind of rank what a backsliding democracy looks like. And there are all of these key indicators. And one of the final key indicators is the concentration of power. And that's when you know that a democracy is almost gone. And that's kind of where the phase where we're at now is this concentration of power, because all of the things that make a democracy a healthy and thriving democracy, we are no longer there in this country as a result of the actions and policies of this administration. So this is definitely for us one of the biggest and most concerning moments we have had since our organization was created 55 years ago.
There's like a lot to unpack in this hour. I've heard two or three phrases already that I want to go back to when we come forward. This notion of a backsliding democracy. Nice phrase, Virginia. I concur. A backsliding democracy. Let's unpack that, and then this notion of the concentration of power. I've talked about that a lot of late, but I see a different angle to address with regard to the concentration of power right about now. Virginia Kase Solomón is the president of Common Cause. Just getting started with her for the rest of the hour here on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
This is Secret Clinical dominating extra stinky stress sweat. And this is regular deodorant. Secret Clinical in a heat wave. Oh, what a beautiful day. This is regular deodorant. Ugh, I can't. Secret Clinical with workout sweat. Let's run another marathon. And regular deodorant. How much more? Secret is the GOAT. Because nothing fights sweat better.
Stay fresher under pressure.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
And the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
You are indeed. I'm glad about it. I'm glad to have you with us. I'm a pretty organized person, and so I was kind of mad at myself that I couldn't put my hands on that article fast enough that I referenced, but I never want to leave you hanging. I mentioned Davon Love joining us on the top side of the third hour today out of Baltimore to talk about a game, this escalating war words between Wes Moore and Donald Trump. We're working to get Wes Moore, the governor, on this program, by the way. I just talked to him not long ago. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about what it means to be federalizing these troops and the impact that has specifically on black youth in Baltimore and beyond. You all know that Donald Trump has announced he's going to Chicago next. So it's not just youth in Baltimore, but everywhere that they are attempting these takeovers, acting like they're fighting crime and really just trying to start a race war, scaring white people. That's really what it's all about. Let's just call it what it is. I'll get to that a little bit later. Trust me, I'm on one today. It's about scaring white people as if these cities that have black mayors are just run amok. It ain't about fighting no crime, but it does, in fact, have an impact on young people when you federalize police. We'll talk about that in the piece that I was referencing that I had read that Davon had written. Was pretty provocative, which I also want to get his take on, is titled "The Democratic Party is Not Enough Against White Nationalism." Provocative piece. The Democratic Party is not enough against white nationalism. That's the piece I was reaching for and couldn't find fast enough. Some days this desk, as it is right now, is just filled with all kind of articles and papers and things I've read that I want to share with you. So today a little sloppy, and I couldn't find it fast enough, but there you have it. Our guest in this hour is Virginia Kase Solomón. She is the president of Common Cause, which is the nation's, I think, foremost, fair to say, foremost good government group, and I'm always honored to be in conversation with her. So you heard her say moments ago that they keep a scorecard, a democracy scorecard. They keep on members of Congress. We'll get to that in a second, trust and believe. They don't really score the president, but if they were grading the president on their democracy scorecard, they would give him, Virginia said, a double F. I asked her to unpack that, and she did. We'll do more of that in a second here. But here's some sound from Donald Trump, who is disputing what Virginia just said. He's disputing that he's weaponizing government specifically to dig into mortgages against political opponents. This is Donald Trump. Take a listen.
You have spoken out very strongly for a long time about what you see as the weaponization of government. Yeah. Is your administration weaponizing government by digging into the mortgage records of officials you don't like?
No, they're public. I mean, you can find out those records. You can go check out the records yourself. And you should be doing that job, actually. You wouldn't do that because that's not the kind of reporter you are. But you should be doing that job. I shouldn't have to be doing it. If you did your job properly, we wouldn't have problems like Lisa Cook. Go ahead, you were going to say something?
So would you be trying to fire Lisa Cook if she had voted to lower interest rates?
On national security. I think we have to have lower interest rates, yes.
Man, Donald Trump don't play. He just goes in on everybody, including if you were doing your job properly, you should be doing it. Don't even get me started on that part about Donald Trump's indictment of the media. You all know the old adage, right? The truth is the first casualty, and so he can blame all he wants, but we see the way Donald Trump is moving and showing up. I digress on that for now. But there you hear Virginia, the president, suggesting that he, I'm being, this is parenthetical, but he's suggesting that he wouldn't accept your grade of a double F. He is not weaponizing government, he says.
Tavis, I just, it almost makes you laugh when you see that. One of the pillars of democracy, and when we see how backsliding democracies are graded, there are two things. One is the dismantling of what they call horizontal accountability, which is the dismantling of institutions responsible for holding the executive accountable, are basically subverted. And that is one of the things that is happening in this moment. It's the weakening of checks and balances. And so the goal here for him is to be able to either purge perceived opponents from the executive branch, or to decrease political independence from the executive branch. So you see things like the Fed that should be independent. So he is looking at, anyway. I would also say that one of the things that is most concerning is that if you look at the trends of who is being purged, whether it's the Smithsonian, whether it's the Library of Congress, whether it is the Fed, these are Black women that he is targeting. And so it says a lot about where we are, but it also is very clear who has been holding the line and who he feels most threatened by.
So I want to stick with this term. As I said earlier, I love it, and I'm glad you introduced it. This notion of a backsliding democracy. For all the stuff that I read every single day, I have not yet been convinced, and maybe you are, I don't know. And if you are, you can disabuse me of this notion. But I have not yet been convinced that any significant number of fellow citizens sees it the way you see it, sees it the way I see it. I typically call it a fragile democracy. And as a matter of fact, I always call it, first of all, an experiment in democracy. This audience hears me say this all the time. We have a Madisonian framework for democracy. We've not quite achieved that as yet, and God knows that Donald Trump has taken us backwards in that regard. So I still call it an experiment in democracy. I could call it an oligarchy, a plutocracy. One of my guests calls it a thugocracy. But by any other name, Virginia, you're right about the fact that we are a backsliding democracy. Here's my point, though. I don't see any evidence that suggests that anybody that fellow citizens at a significant level see what you see and see what I see. Now, with all due respect, you're bright, but you ain't the only bright person in this country. I'm relatively bright, maybe not as bright as Virginia, but I ain't, I'm not the only one. Why are people not seeing? Why do we not see outrage about the backsliding nature of this democracy if you and I are right?
Well, I think it's a few things, and I appreciate that. I think, one of the things, you've been around for a long time, and I think you've had access to a lot of information over the years, which makes you an expert in this in a lot of ways. Um, I think the news cycle is moving so fast, and there's so much happening on any given day that people have become desensitized or turned off in many ways. The other thing is, when we have so much that's happening, look at inflation, look at what's happening with the cost of housing in this country. Costs are out of control. People are struggling to get by. And so when you're just trying to get by and you have this stuff that's been happening all the time, it's hard to see it all in one place. It's like we're all getting different trailers for the same movie. If you know what I mean? So like, depending on how you're interpreting it in the moment, I think it's just the onslaught of information. It's the mis and disinformation. Look, some of the stories and the information that is out there is just bad. This president has become accustomed to lying so much that so many people don't even know what's true at this point. So a lot of people also just think, it's just Donald Trump being Donald Trump, because they're equating it to the first Donald Trump administration. I would say that this one is very, very different. The first one was a testing ground, but you have Project 2025, you have all of these things that have happened, and it's just happening so fast and furious. And that is a strategy. It's called their flood the zone strategy, and that's what they're doing. Because they don't want people to be tuned in and seeing the big picture.
Yeah. I want to return to that clip that we just played of Donald Trump, going in on this reporter, telling this reporter to do their job. If you had done your job, ... You heard the clip a moment ago. And I'm coming back to that right quick, because while Common Cause does its job every day, keeping a democracy scorecard on members of Congress, Donald Trump was challenging the media to do its job, which is really fascinating. Here's my point, Virginia. I want to ask what your read is of how the media is doing its job covering Congress and democracy. Again, we know what Common Cause does, but what's your read of what the media is doing or not doing, the way they're showing up or not when it comes to doing their job?
So that's a very good question. I will say that we have a media and democracy pillar of our work, and I have been very dissatisfied with big parts of corporate media and the way that they have shown up, because it seems that many of them have acquiesced either through paying money, not fighting back. You've seen CBS, you've seen others, MSNBC, the firing of Joy Reid, for example, or you see Don Lemon no longer being at CNN. It seems like a lot of the most powerful voices that have been the most effective voices have also been the ones that have now moved to independent journalism. And so, where I would say there's a divergence right now when I think about media, it's independent journalists who are doing great investigative journalist work, who are speaking truth to power. And then you have other really good journalists inside corporate media who it looks in many ways like they're just kind of fighting for their life in there. And there are many who have succumbed, I think, to internal pressure, not to push too hard out of fear of backlash from this White House and this president. And silencing the media again, and the backsliding democracy thing is not me. This is something that the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace put out. They have a great report they just put out yesterday. But silencing the media is one of those tactics that authoritarians use to oppress opposition and civil liberties. So this is not just a mistake. It's all tied together.
Yeah. As Virginia was talking, something came to my mind. I don't typically share this kind of information on in public spaces, but I'll share it because I think it underscores the point that Virginia was just making. So I was at a meeting yesterday in my office, and I was meeting with the gentleman whose name is Rob. A shout out to Rob, done an amazing job. Rob is the guy in charge of my syndication. As you know, this program is syndicated in cities all across the country. And we had a meeting yesterday because I'm an impatient person, as you probably figured out. Pretty impatient. And I want to be on every station, as many stations as we can be on, particularly in a moment like this, trying to speak truth to power and to the powerless. And I noticed a slowdown in the number. We've been averaging, a pretty robust pickup of stations over the last year and a half, almost 2 years now that we've been in syndication. I noticed a slowdown. And so I met with Rob yesterday, had a long meeting with Rob yesterday to look at all the cities that we have been in communication with, in conversation with, in contract negotiations with to carry this program. And Rob just said to me at one point in the meeting, he gave me a list of stations. He said, here's a dozen stations right now that want to carry you. They want to add you immediately. I mean, picking up a dozen stations in syndication. I mean, we're doing rather well. We're in all the major markets: New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Philly, you name it, we're everywhere. But again, there are so many more cities. Let me just put it this way. Sean Hannity is on 750 stations every day. I nowhere near that. 750 stations Sean Hannity's heard on every day. And that's not including his show on Fox News every night. I digress on that for now. My point is that we've been adding stations pretty aggressively, and I'm grateful for that, and it's a beautiful thing. But I asked Rob about this slowdown, and he said to me in this meeting yesterday, Virginia, and talking to the audience here now, that here are a dozen stations that want to carry you right now, but there's one problem. I said, what? So I said, what do we need to do? He said, nothing we can do. I said, what are you talking about, Rob? He said, they're scared. He said, they're scared. Every one of these stations has told, we have contracts on their desk. They love you. They want to carry you. They appreciate what you're doing. They know your voice is needed right now, but they are scared. I said, scared of what? He said, they're scared that if they add you, and you keep speaking the truth that you're speaking, that Donald Trump is going to come after them. And at first I laughed, and I said to myself, and I said to Rob, I said, y'all are so low down the totem pole, that Donald Trump's going to come for me first before he comes for you. It's my show. He don't know nothing about your station in Pocatello, Idaho. So he's going to come for me first. So I sort of laughed, and Rob and I had a joke about that, but then I thought about it, and I was like, man, Donald Trump is slowing down my syndication because people are scared that if they put me on and hear me in conversation with Virginia talking about giving Donald Trump a double F, that they're going to be in trouble and that their platform, their media platform, may be catching hell from Donald Trump. So it's just, anyway, I thought about that, Virginia, while you were talking, that people in the media, Virginia, are scared.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's very apparent, and it's not just because they're afraid of getting sued.
Yeah.
The other piece is that because of the amount of control that this executive branch has at the agency level or different parts of the federal government. So, for example, the FCC, people are going to be worried about the Federal Communications Commission. Am I going to be able to continue to put program out, period, if they come after me? He has put his thumb so heavily on the scale and the independence of so many parts of our government that it is creating a level of fear. And so people are either acquiescing out of fear or out of a different kind of fear, and that is the fear from his constituents who support what he is doing. And we've had people who have said, like, maybe we need an authoritarian, maybe we need a dictator. People have literally said that. I mean, and that is terrifying when you think about the state of democracy and how some people are okay with these things happening.
So when we come forward, I want to pick up on that point you've made just now. And here's my question. Give you a chance to noodle on it. Not that Virginia Kase Solomón needs any help. She's pretty eloquent, obviously. But my question is whether or not democracy can hold when we see this kind of concentration of power. We talked about her backsliding democracy notion. The thing I haven't gotten to yet is this notion of the concentration of power. We see it happening in front of our eyes every single day. How can democracy hold when you see this kind of aggressive concentration of power every single day and nobody is slowing him down? This is, I mean, whether you call it anarchy, whether you call it authoritarianism that leads to anarchy potentially, who knows, whatever you call it by any other name, what we cannot deny is that in real time we are seeing this power grab, this concentration of power every single day, and he's not being slowed in this process. You don't have to be a historian to understand or to know this is how it always happens. It starts with pushing back on the media and scaring them. It starts with truth being the first casualty. It starts with the concentration of power, and we just seem like, you know, it's become normalized already. He's been in office for 8 months, and this behavior has become normalized, but I don't see speed bumps even, much less just an irk. We're not just a flat-out stopping it for him. I'm not even seeing speed bumps. I digress for now. I'll let Virginia Kase Solomón respond when we come forward on Tavis.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump says he's not worried after firing Black Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, who's under DOJ investigation for alleged false mortgage claims.
She seems to have had an infraction, and she can't have an infraction, especially that infraction. We need people that are 100% above board.
Cook denies wrongdoing, and her lawyer says Trump has no authority to remove her. The University of Cincinnati closed its African American Cultural and Resource Center due to a new state law banning diversity programs. In response, Black students and alumni are preserving traditions and launching a nonprofit to fund cultural events and mentorships independently. And Slutty Vegan owner Pinky Cole is being sued for over $87,000 in unpaid rent and fees for 2 Edgewood Avenue properties in Atlanta, Georgia. The lawsuit adds to the financial troubles for the once fast-growing restaurant brand. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
In Lancaster, some good news. An earlier multi-vehicle pile-up has now been cleared off of the 14 northbound at Avenue K. However, it looks like your drive is still stacked from Avenue L as a result. Sun Valley, a wreck remains in the 2 right lanes of the 5 southbound after Sunland Boulevard. So you're seeing heavy delays from San Fernando Mission Boulevard. And in Orange, we have a fender bender in the 2 left lanes, 55 southbound after Catella. Watch for delays all the way from Tustin.
Ignite your afternoons at Waba Grill's $5 happy hour with our 5-piece pork veggie dumplings and a value-sized premium beverage drink, like our tangy passion fruit lemonade. Enjoy $5 happy hour weekdays after 3 p.m. Only at Waba Grill.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Coco Gauff, the number 3 women's tennis player in the world, overcame 10 double faults Tuesday night to win her first-round match in the U.S. Open. The 21-year-old African-American star defeated Ayla Tomljanovic of Croatia in 3 sets, 6-4, 6-7, and 7-5. The LA Sparks lost at home last night to the Phoenix Mercury 92-84. The Sparks are now 17-19. They have 8 games left in the WNBA regular season to make the playoffs. The Sparks are a game and a half behind the Seattle Storm for the 8th and final playoff spot. The Dodgers beat Cincinnati 6-3, 5th straight win for Clayton Kershaw. The Dodgers remain a game up on San Diego in the NL West. Shedeur Sanders will be the number 3 quarterback on the Cleveland Browns roster. Deion's son made the team after the Browns and the other 31 NFL teams made cuts Tuesday to reach the 53-man roster limit. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, yo, come on. Here come the drums.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Let's get back to it with Virginia Kase Solomón, who is the president of Common Cause, the nation's foremost good government organization, and always, again, thankful and grateful to be in conversation with Virginia. She's said a couple of things, more than a couple, but a lot of things that are pretty powerful in this dialogue so far. We spent some time, in case you've just tuned in, talking about what she calls a backsliding democracy. She's right about that. We live right now in a backsliding democracy. I'm going to own that phrase. The first time, Virginia, I have a rule about stuff like this. Let me tell you right quick. Whenever I hear a great term like backsliding democracy, I add it to my lexicon. And the first time I use it, I will give you attribution. I heard Virginia Kase Solomón once say. The second time I use it, I heard somebody once say. And the third time I use it, as I always say. So that's my frame when I hear something I like, but I like that notion of a backsliding democracy. Indeed, we are living in one right about now. The other issue you raised, though, that I want to get to is this notion of the concentration of power. Everybody sees it. It's happening every day. It's happening in real time. This whole Lisa Cook story is about whether or not Donald Trump will be successful. We raised this issue yesterday with Mitchell Andrew, former mayor of New Orleans, former lieutenant governor of Louisiana, former high-ranking Biden administration official. Mitch and I were wrestling with this notion yesterday. What's at stake here is simply this. Donald Trump is clearly attacking black women. We see that across the board, from Lisa Cook to Letitia James, run the list, Fonnie Willis in Georgia, long list. But here's what's at stake here. Whether or not Donald Trump has the authority or will be allowed by our court system, ultimately, since Lisa Cook is going to sue Donald Trump, whether or not Donald Trump has the power to fire people who don't even work for him. To your point, the Federal Reserve is an independent agency. They do not work. Lisa Cook does not work for Donald Trump. So what the courts are going to decide ultimately here is, does Donald Trump have the power to fire people who don't even work for him? Now, if that ain't a power grab, if that's not concentration of power, if they allow Donald Trump the authority to fire people who don't even work for him, these aren't government employees like the ones we've seen fired since he took over under that Doge nonsense. The Fed is something totally different, and that's why Lisa Cook is suing. You don't have the authority to fire me. I don't work for you. Okay. But how can democracy hold if we are experiencing this kind of concentration of power? And this seems to me to be a line in the sand. If Donald Trump gets away with this, I don't know what to say, Virginia.
I feel like the lines in the sand have kept moving. You know, it's almost like Lucy with the football, with Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. This is just another example, Tavis, and it out of many that we have seen. I think one of the things, and I don't want people to be hopeless, because I think that there's something that we have to remember. We weren't really fully considered at the international level a full democracy until the Voting Rights Act was passed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really only 60 years of being a full democracy from a global perspective. Think about that. So we are a young democracy relatively, but because the Constitution, the Constitutional Convention in 1787 kind of laid out the framework, I don't think that the framers ever really anticipated a despot being in this role.
Mm-hmm.
And many of us did not, because we got used to these gentlemen, gentle ladies agreements, gentle people's agreements, so to speak, where people operated within certain norms. And what this administration has done, and they told us they were going to do it in Project 2025. Mind you, a lot of people just didn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
He denied it the whole way through his election, through the election. But this is, I think, A, them doing exactly what they said they were going to do, and B, I call it bastardizing every norm. So there are things, norms that have existed that didn't require a law, that everybody just adhered to because that's what good government looks like. Donald Trump has looked for every loophole, everything that is not written in law, and then he has challenged every law that he did not like. So can we get ahead of this, or can we change this? Yes, and there are still ways to do it. We're not foregone. I think some of the things is, don't forget that this court has pushed back on Donald Trump in many ways. And so it's not just like you see Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He actually is a member of an organization I used to work for many years ago, Casa, who he's represented by.
Mm-hmm.
When his inability to having to bring him back, first of all, after the deportation, and now the court saying, no, he is going to stay here until we finish going through his case. That's not something that Trump likes. So the court isn't always just acquiescing to him. Now, there are many cases we don't agree with, but it's not every case. So there is still safety in the courts in some places. I would not say every place, because we also know that there are bad actors on the court, especially on the Supreme Court. But also the people power that exists. I work in Washington, D.C. I live in Maryland. So Wes Moore is my governor. I heard you talking about him earlier.
Sure.
And, I take the train in to D.C. every single day for work. And the amount of people who are pushing back, standing up, there's the Free DC movement, right? You have amazing mayors like Brandon Scott in Baltimore who has done incredible work, Herculean work to transform the city of Baltimore to reduce crime. And you have a governor like Wes Moore who is standing up strong and saying no. You see what is happening across this country with people who are saying, no, we're not going to stand for this. Everyday people, Republicans are getting blasted in town halls right now. People are upset about everything from Medicare and Medicaid cuts to what this is going to mean for Social Security for senior citizens, to the new tax policy, all of these things. So I still believe that the people of this country are our best hope.
I want to come to this notion that you raised earlier of horizontal accountability. Given that what Common Cause does is keep a democracy scorecard. You heard again, Virginia said earlier, if they were keeping one on the White House, the executive branch, Donald Trump would get a double F. But I want to talk about Congress and how Republicans are being graded right now on this democracy scorecard, and how Democrats are being graded right now on this democracy scorecard. But a quick programming note: if you missed our conversation yesterday, was Jesse Jackson yesterday or day before yesterday? Was that yesterday? Monday? Was it Monday? Jesse was on Monday. Jesse Jackson Jr., who served in Congress for almost 20 years and maybe back in Congress again because there's a seat open, the same seat that he had for almost 20 years. And if he decides he wants to run again, the polls indicate that he is the front runner, formidable front runner. So Jesse Jackson Jr. may be back in Congress again at some point. We shall see. But he was on this program on Monday, and since Virginia mentioned, I want to come back to it. If you missed that conversation with Jesse, find the podcast, because Jesse Jackson laid out in excruciatingly brilliant detail, eloquent detail, how it is possible that in 2032, there may not be a black member of Congress. Right now, we have the highest number ever in the CBC, 62. But come 2032, a couple things can happen that could lead to having no African-American members of Congress. That's what Republicans are aiming for. It'd be a combination very simply of two things. Number one, the way this redistricting is playing out. We all know the fight. We've been talking about it. It's part redistricting. And whether or not Democrats are going to be savvy enough and serious enough to protect African-American seats when their backs to the wall and they're trying to protect their own seats. So it's redistricting on the one hand, and it's the Voting Rights Act that Virginia just raised on the other hand. This Supreme Court that she just referenced is going to gut, trust and believe in the next term. When they come back in September, they're going to gut this last provision of the Voting Rights Act that's going to make it the Wild Wild West all over again. The combination of gutting the Voting Rights Act, I'm just giving you in short what Jesse said. I'm not nearly as eloquent as he was. Listen to the podcast. But the combination of gutting the Voting Rights Act and bad redistricting, speaking of good government, this would be not so good government, gerrymandering, could lead us back to where we were before. In the post-Reconstruction era, Jesse laid out, all 16 black folk in Congress were wiped out. We went from 16 to 0. 16 to 0 then. We could go from 62 to 0 now. I'll leave it there. Check out the podcast, more with Virginia Kase Solomón, when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
BET and PBS, the Tom Joyner Morning Show, and NPR, the cover of Jet and the cover of Time. #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list, 20 honorary doctorate degrees, a dozen NAACP Image Awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. From talk shows to talk radio, nobody's ever done it better. You like that? This is Tavis Smiley.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least liked to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
It does indeed. I'm getting news reports about this school shooting in Minneapolis. We are told that a school shooting has happened in Minneapolis. I'm just trying to get caught up on as quickly as I can. Annunciation Catholic School. Annunciation Catholic School is the site of this most recent school shooting. We are told at the moment that the shooter is dead. Minneapolis happens not to have a black mayor. Got a white Jewish mayor, Jacob Fry, I believe is his name, in Minneapolis. You see where I'm going, right? I see Andy, my board, up nodding his head aggressively. Is Donald Trump going to send National Guard troops to Minneapolis with the white mayor? You got a school shooting. People dead. Is Donald Trump going to send the National Guard to Minneapolis with a white mayor? I'm going to leave that right where it is for the moment. Just think about it. Virginia Kase Solomón of Common Cause, the president, is our guest. Got a couple minutes right now, and then a couple more when we come forward here. But in these 2 or 3 minutes I have right quick here, talk to me just remind us, I have a really bright audience, but just remind us of how horizontal accountability is supposed to work. And then we come forward in our remaining moments. We'll talk about this scorecard for members of Congress. But just remind us how horizontal accountability, your phrase, is supposed to work, Virginia.
Yeah, well, you're supposed to have 3 co-equal branches of government. So it's not the executive branch on top of everybody else. It's supposed to be the executive, the legislative, which is Congress, and the judicial, which is obviously the Supreme Court or the courts. And so what we're seeing is that when Congress is not doing their job, and I say Congress holistically, it doesn't mean that there aren't some members of Congress who are doing what they need to do. But by and large, we know who controls both the House and the Senate right now. There is not pro-democracy legislation. There are not checks and balances coming out of this Congress on this executive branch. And then when it comes to the Supreme Court, we also know that this Supreme Court has not been largely favorable to everyday people. I like to use the term everyday people like us, and has upheld much of what this administration has done. So there hasn't been those checks and balances that you've seen on every other executive branch. Even if we didn't agree with some of the decisions that were made, there was pushback within both sides, whether it was Democrat or Republican. We saw the opportunity to move bipartisan legislation differently in the past. The courts were always much more effective at checking this executive branch. This time around, it is very, very different.
When we come forward in our remaining moments with Virginia Kase Solomón, president of Common Cause, the nation's preeminent good government organization, we'll talk about this democracy scorecard, how Republicans faring right now, how Democrats faring right now. That's how we'll close when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my two sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-687-7979. That's 800-687-7979. 800-687-7979.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project.
Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail, and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
More honesty than you can handle.
More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Another quick update here at the Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis. 3 people dead, including the shooter. 17 injured. Breaking news here, a developing story. But at the moment we know, according to ABC News, 3 dead, including the shooter at this Annunciation Catholic School. 17 injured. We shall see if Donald Trump sends the National Guard into this city, which happens not to have a black woman or a black mayor running it. I digress on that for now. I've got 2 minutes left. As they say in D.C., I want to yield the balance of my time to the gentlelady from Common Cause, Virginia Kase Solomón. In 2 minutes, Virginia, give us a sense of how the scorecard is looking for Republicans and Democrats, this democracy scorecard right about now.
Well, our new scorecard will come out this fall. I will say our last year's scorecard, we saw that there was a tremendous amount of work and that had been done on the side of Democrats, specifically, around supporting and trying to champion things like the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, things like the Freedom to Vote Act, which had those passed, by the way, we would not be in this situation right now when it comes to our elections and the challenges that we're facing. The things Jesse Jackson Jr. was talking about that you alluded to earlier could not happen had this legislation been passed. We got zero support from Republicans on that.
Yeah.
And this was just last year. This year, what we have seen is increased attacks on democracy. There is a bill right now, for example, that Ted Cruz has put forward that is actually trying to criminalize and basically imprison people and have actions taken against organizations that support protest, right? So they are trying to silence any dissent. And so what we're seeing is a huge rift between who is championing democracy and who is further constricting democracy and rights. And we're a nonpartisan organization. All I get to do is look at the data and say, this is exactly what it is. And the reality is that right now, Republicans in Congress are not doing their job. And so for people who are out there who are thinking, what do I do? Push those Republicans, tell them what you want, tell them that they need to support democracy, and do it every day and twice on Sunday in your local office, whether it is in your, calling their congressional office, talking to your neighbors, I would say, because we still have an opportunity to fight back. And people are afraid of losing their seats in 26.
Oh, yeah.
So the more pressure we put on them, the better.
We are grateful to Common Cause, the nation's most preeminent good government organization, for the work that they do keeping this democracy scorecard. Virginia Kase Solomón, good to have you back on. We'll do it again. All the best to you. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Tavis. Have a good one.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump says he's not worried after firing Black Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, who's under DOJ investigation for alleged false mortgage claims.
She seems to have had an infraction, and she can't have an infraction, especially that infraction. We need people that are 100% above board.
Cook denies wrongdoing, and her lawyer